Okay, I'm going to take you through applying to take part in this year's Open House Festival. I'm going to cover who needs to complete an application and why, and I'm going to talk about how you do it. Okay, so who needs to complete an application? The short answer this one, everyone. Whether this is your first time taking part in the festival, whether you've been opening your doors every year for 20 years, you need to complete an application form. Everyone needs to do it, and I'll explain why shortly. But if you're new, so if your building or event has never been in the festival before, then you've got an additional step before completing the application form. You also need to complete an expression of interest form. You need to do that first. There's a link here in the slides. These slides will be available next to the recording, so you can click on those. And there's also one of these sessions specifically on completing the expression of interest form, which you'll find on the same page above this recording. So if you are brand new to the festival and you need to complete an expression of interest form, go and have a look at that and have a click on that link. If you're not brand new, if your building or event has been in the festival at least once before, then you can go straight to completing the application form. And there's a link to that here. Okay, so why do you need to complete an application form? A couple of reasons. First, the team needs to be able to assess your application against our curatorial criteria. Again, there's another one of these recordings relating to curatorial criteria, which you should be able to find above this one on the same page. But in short, our curatorial criteria is what we're looking for, what we want to include in the festival program. So we need applications to be able to assess that, to be able to assess your open day or event against those criteria. And then second, equally if not more important reason, is that the information you put into your application form, or at least some of it, will populate your online listing. So we're a huge festival, and we really rely on each of our individual contributors, that's you, to provide us with accurate, interesting, engaging information about your plans for the festival. And the application form is the way you do that, so that we can then share that information with potential visitors through your online listing on our website. Okay, where do I find the application form? So you log into your dashboard. I've got a link there on the slide. You find My Listings. So as soon as you log in, you'll see in the middle of the page there's My Listings, and there's a list there of all the buildings that you're responsible for. In lots of cases, you'll only be responsible for one building or event, but some people are responsible for several, or even a lot. And you'll find all of them laid out individually there. Under each building or event, there'll be a button that says Get Started, and you need to click that to start the application form. Okay, so I'm going to run through each page of the form. I'm not going to attempt to run through every single question, but I just want to draw out some key things that will hopefully help to make the process a bit clearer. So as soon as you click on Get Started, you'll find this first page, which is called the Support and Advice page. It's got some links to resources, which includes this series of online surgeries, also some written guidance to completing the application, to running your open day event, all this kind of stuff. And I've copied that link here as well. So do have a look at those. And most crucially, make sure you click the Continue button at the bottom of this page, otherwise you won't be able to fill in the rest of the form. Core information. So there's a few things I want to highlight here. Description. This is a free text box. This is really important because it's the text that will appear at the top of your listing. So it will be most visitors' introduction to your building or your event. It'll be very prominent. on that page. It's not a long piece of text, but it's crucial to sort of get it right. So yeah, if you've got a few snappy sentences to say about your building or event, this is the place to put them. Location. Now this will already be filled in. You will have entered that information when you filled in your expression of interest form. I just mention it here because you won't be able to change it. That's partly for well, we don't allow it because it's for the integrity of our database, basically. So it's if people make lots of edits like that, then it suddenly starts to get very confusing. We lose track of which listing is about which building. So yeah, if you do need to change the location for whatever reason, so for example, if you're running a walking tour and you want to change the start point, then do let us know and email openhouse@open-city.org.uk. But I find in most instances buildings don't move, so we should be fine. Architects and designers. I just want to mention this. If you don't know who was responsible for the design of your building, that's absolutely fine. If you do know, great. You can add several different architects depending on whether it was the principal design, whether there was renovation, whether there were additions. That's all available to you to add. The thing I just want to highlight here is please make sure you have a look at the drop-down menu of architects before adding a new one. You'll see what I mean when you get onto the form. So there's an option to have a look at the drop-down menu and select an architect from that list. There are lots and lots of architects on our system. There's a very good chance that the architect you're after is already on there. So please have a look there and try and select it. I won't go into all sorts of boring details about our database, but it really helps us if people don't enter the same architect lots and lots of times using that free text box. So yes, please do have a look to check if the architect you're after is already on the system. If they're not, absolutely fine to add a new one. But yeah, please do have a look first. Images. I wanted to flag this one for a couple of reasons. Firstly, they're really important for visitors. They really help them to get a sense of the building you're opening or the event you're running, the activity that's happening. They really help to attract visitors, to give them a sense of what to expect. For that reason, we strongly suggest you have more than one image, and that if you're opening a building, you have a mixture of exterior and interior shots. I think 3, 4, 5 pictures of a building is really good with a mixture of interior and exterior. And then the other key point here is please only upload images that you own, so images that you own copyright for. Please note, it might be that you've purchased permission to use that image. Now, in most cases, I mean, you can go back and check the terms of your sort of license, but in most cases that doesn't mean that we, as the Open House Festival, will also have permission to use it. There's no third-party permissions for lots of image licenses. So for that reason, it's always best to only upload images where you own the copyright. So where you or another member of your organization or whoever it is has taken the image, or where you have specifically purchased the copyright for that image, maybe you employed a photographer or something like that. Yeah, this is really important because otherwise we get fines, and this does happen from time to time, usually once or twice every year. So please do help us keep on top of that. Additional questions. This section, this page, is for office use only, so it doesn't appear publicly. It doesn't appear on the on your listing. So the key thing to remember here is if you're sharing information that's important for visitors, maybe it's something, I don't know, say you're opening a opening a building site and you want people to wear footwear with closed toes and long sleeves, don't just put that information here because they won't see it. Make sure you include it elsewhere, and I'll talk a bit in a moment about where's best to include it. Yeah, so this information you put here is just for us, just for the festival team, and this is what a lot of this information is what allows us to assess your application against the curatorial criteria. Contacts. So if you're watching this, you're probably the manager. You're probably the person who has the account, the logins to the festival website. So you're the primary contact. Would always contact you first. But if there are other key contacts that might be useful for us to have, might be a colleague, a family member, someone else who could be sort of covering for you in between now and the festival, do let us have their details. None of this information isn't public facing. This just goes on our system. It doesn't go up on the listing. And it doesn't matter if there aren't additional contacts to share, but if there are, that can be useful for you and for us if we've got someone else to be in touch with. Access, transport and facilities. So the information you put here is included as part of your online listing. We have filters on our program website. So for example, visitors can apply the filter for say accessible toilets, and then they'll only be shown buildings with accessible toilets. So it's really important that you try and be really accurate about the information that you're sharing here, and as sort of completest as you can, because it will allow visitors to make informed decisions about where they go. So there's a selection of drop down or select all that apply options on the form, you'll see. And then in addition, there's a couple of free text boxes as well. So the first is additional accessibility notes. So this is an opportunity to capture information that can't be captured by those sort of drop down or select all that apply options. So say for example you're opening a building that maybe has level access from the street, and a good proportion of the building can be accessed via that level access, but say there are some rooms that are only accessible by stair. That's the kind of thing that it's worth. That's the kind of thing that you'd want to share here in the additional accessibility notes, because we know that actually even the most accessible of buildings, in lots of cases there will be areas that are not accessible, for example for someone who uses a wheelchair. So if you've got those complexities in your own space, please do take this opportunity to mention that here. And what visitors can expect. So this is to help prepare visitors for the kinds of environments, spaces that they might find on their visit. So for example, if you know that you're opening a building and you expect it to be very busy, to be very noisy, you know that there are certain kind of echoey spaces, you know that there maybe you're opening a building where there's a workshop, where there's some sort of industry or kind of other work, other making going on, and you know that that's particularly loud, or gives off particularly strong smells, whatever it may be, then that's the kind of thing to mention here, because it helps to prepare visitors for what they might encounter, and again helps to inform visitors when deciding where to go or where not to go. Okay, so this about section is really key. The text that you put in here will appear as the main body of your listing on the website. It's good to think about how to use this to attract visitors. Why are you excited by the building you're opening? Why are you excited about the event that you're running? That's the kind of thing to put in here. If you're opening a building, you'll want to tell them about the architecture, a bit about the history, perhaps a bit about the purpose of the building. You know, whatever you know about it. If you have got detailed information about the kind of the styles or the construction method or any of that stuff, it's interesting to put a bit of that here. But you might want to tell them other stuff too. If you know the social history, for example, of the place, if you know the kind of the role it had within the area, the local community historically, or the role and the kind of uses that the building has today, that's the kind of stuff you might want to put into. So it doesn't just have to be limited to kind of design information. Anything that you think will sort of attract and inform visitors can go on this page and can appear in your listing. And this last point is key as well. So if you remember a few slides ago, I mentioned on the additional questions page about not putting information, sort of important information for visitors. For example, I used the example of if it involves a site visit and you want people to be dressed appropriately for that. Well, this is where you put that kind of information, essential information that visitors need to know. That's the kind of thing you'd share here. And you'll see when you go on the page that you can title different sections. So I would call it something like essential information, clothing requirements, whatever it may be. I would give it that kind of title so that when someone is just having a look at the page, they can see they can see that there's information they need to pay attention to. Activities. This is another key page. So you'll see as you've been through the form, all the other pages up to this point that I've talked about, well, if you've taken part in previous years, they'll be populated with the information that you've with the kind of latest information that you shared. So for example, your about pages, if you added a load of stuff last year and you took part last year, then you'll find that's all in there. Same with core information and all that stuff and the images you uploaded in the past. Activities is different. So this is the point at which you tell us what you're doing and when you're doing it. It's dates and it's times. So this doesn't carry over from last year. So this is really key. This is the bit you need to get right, because this will tell visitors when to come and see you. I've included a link here. It's called Guidance on When to Open. As you'll know, the festival is running 13th to the 21st of September this year, so that's over 2 weekends. We find lots of contributors will open for just one of the weekends or just one day on one of the weekends. If that's what you're planning to do, then have a look at this link because we've offered some guidance on when to open. Broadly speaking, if you're in and we've sort of done it by which borough you're based in. So broadly speaking, if you're in the west of the city, we've suggested you open on the first weekend, and if you're in the east, we suggest you open on the second weekend. This is for your benefit of the benefit of visitors, because if there's more stuff going on in a particular area, say you're in Camden, it's a really great idea to try and open at the same time or on the same weekend as other buildings in Camden, because then people come to the area and they're more likely to see a few different things. We know that that's what some visitors like to do. So yeah, if you can open on the weekend that we've suggested, that helps us with visitor experience, and it should help you with footfall. Equally, if that's not possible, if that doesn't fit in with your plans, then it's absolutely fine to open on the other weekend. This is just guidance. The other key thing to think about here is what type of activity you want to be doing. Drop-in or ticketed. Those are the two types. Okay, so I'll talk about drop-in first. So this is the default option. for open days and events. So this option means that visitors can arrive at any point. So say I'm opening my home, I might and I'm happy for people to sort of arrive any time between say 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Then I'd set it as a drop-in and set that start and end time. Visitors who see a drop-in activity, they'll expect to queue if necessary. Say my house is particularly popular, I've got people queuing around the block. That's fine. Visitors expect that. We tell them to expect that. So yeah, this is perfect for buildings. Where your open day is sort of a bit more unstructured. It can also work well. Say you're opening a big public building, and you sort of plan to run some tours of it, but it's a bit more informal. So maybe you'll run a certain number of tours every hour on the hour or something like that. It's absolutely fine to run that as a drop-in as well. Just say you'll run tours for whoever's there. But yeah, this is a really nice option. We encourage people to open in this way if they can. You're more likely to get decent numbers of people. Sorry, I jumped ahead there. You're more likely to get a decent number of people because anyone who sees it in the program can just show up, and it helps with making the program genuinely accessible, because it means it's not just open to those handful of people who are able to snap up tickets when it opened for booking. Ticketed. So having said all that, the ticketed option is available, and it is right for certain types of activities. So anything with the sort of designated start time. So say you are running building tours and you know that you've only got a capacity of I don't know, you can only have 10 people at a time, then and you want to start at 10 a.m. and they do another one at midday, whatever it is, then the ticketed option is absolutely the right one for you. It's got a designated start time, it's got a fixed capacity. Something like a walking tour as well, where you're out in the public realm, absolutely do set it up as a ticketed activity. If you know that there's only a limited number of people who can take part in your activity, then we would strongly recommend to do it as ticketed, because otherwise you're going to have you could potentially be faced with some disappointed visitors who you're turning away. The challenge here is that it does reach fewer people. The drop-in option is a nice kind of open option, but if you have a limited capacity, then that's kind of what makes most sense. The only thing we'd sort of say about that those fixed capacities is do think about dropouts when deciding how many places to offer on a ticketed activity. As with all free events, we do get dropouts. We often find about 50% of people who've booked to do something will drop out. So think about that when setting your capacity, your max number of places. You might want to think about potentially booking 50% more places than you could manage. If you're a bit sort of wary of that, maybe 25, 30, but we'd always recommend offering at least slightly more capacity than you can actually manage, because you will get dropouts. And then lastly, on activities, the same building might have both types of activities. So say for example, I'm opening a building and I'm opening all day from 9 to 5, and I'm happy for visitors to come at any point between that time. So I'd set that up as a drop-in event. But then at various points during the day, I'm going to have, say, a guided tour that will last for an hour and a half, and I know I can only accommodate 15 people on that. Then I would also set that up as a separate ticketed activity. Or say I'm running a workshop in the afternoon, and I know I can only fit 20 people into that. I would also set that up as a ticketed activity. Those are sort of specific bookable activities that are taking place within those kind of hours that you're open for drop-ins. So in some instances, you might want to do a combination of both activities. That's very common. Okay, we're near the end now. So volunteers, anyone who's doing anything for the festival, who's opening their doors or running an event, can request volunteer support. Our volunteers choose where to go. We've got hundreds, well, thousands even, that are sort of signed up and on our system, and they can log in once the program is live on our website. They can log in and choose where to go. So choose where to come and help out. They're architecture enthusiasts who are committed to the festival's mission of opening up spaces for Londoners. And there are two types of volunteers: stewards and guides. So I'll break those down for you. So stewards, this is the most common request. Most people who are running an event or opening a building request support from stewards. So they do things like marshalling visitors, kind of sorting out queues. If you've got a ticketed event, they might check off names for you. They could answer sort of practical questions around the building, like kind of where the toilets are, or other questions about access. And in general, they're an extra pair of hands on the day, sorting things out for you. If you're opening a private home and you're kind of keen to have others around as a security measure, a steward is a really good option. Just have someone, for example, on the door, and maybe someone inside your home as well while you're also there. So just there's a few of you about kind of managing the event, so they can help in lots of different ways, including just providing a bit of extra help and reassurance on the day. Now guides are slightly different. They come prepared to give sort of informal tours of the building, or to answer kind of more sort of detailed questions about the architecture, the function and the history of the building. For this to work, you need to sort of provide them with information in advance, and we give you their contact details and all of that. And you need to be sort of quite clear about what you want them to do, and what you want them to sort of know about and sort of be across in advance. So fewer people request these, and we have fewer people signing up to be guides. But where people do want that slightly more, I guess, sort of enhanced support from a volunteer than a guide, then requesting a guide is a great option. So to request volunteers, you're on this volunteers page. You answer yes to the question: do you want to request volunteers? There's two boxes. There's boxes for each date that you're running activity during the festival, and you can choose how many stewards you want and how many guides. So obviously, if you just want stewards, leave the guides box blank, and vice versa. Now, it's a slightly tricky point here. We will divide volunteers up into different shifts. So you only need to put in the number of volunteers that you'll need at any one time. So for example, say I'm open all day, 9 till 5, and I know I need the support of one volunteer, one steward. I would just put one in that box. Now, obviously you're not going to have just one volunteer with you, a single person doing the whole day with you, 9 to 5. We're going to split that shift up, probably into two. Someone does the morning, someone does the afternoon, but we'll worry about that. We'll sort the timings out of that. You just put in how many volunteers you'll need at any one time. Okay, this is the last page. It allows you to view the progress on each section. So if for some reason you've forgotten to fill something in, you can have a look here and see what you might have missed. And also it shares with you our community guidelines. Now I've copied them here. You'll be able to see them on that page. They look exactly the same as this. So they just kind of emphasize the festival's mission of providing access to spaces that wouldn't otherwise be open, and creating opportunities for Londoners to learn from and about the built environment. And it states that by submitting the application, you're committing to that mission and also to this to our kind of shared approach that we kind of lay out here with our community guidelines. So I'll just kind of run through these because they're all all important. So we ask that all activities are free. You cannot charge for anything that you do during the Open House Festival. That doesn't mean you can't also sell things. So for example, if you're opening a workshop or a studio, you make things, you make perhaps you're an artist or a furniture maker or whatever it might be, you're very welcome to sell the stuff you make while you're open, but you're not allowed to charge for access or charge for a tour. So that's what we mean by keep all activities free for all visitors. Welcome everyone. Make your activities as accessible as you possibly can. Don't deny anyone entry on grounds of identity, and try to include people of all abilities as far as you can. Provide complete and accurate information in your application. We sort of covered that and why it's important, and then this last point about using only materials that you have copyright for. I've also covered that. In return, we'll respond as promptly as possible to all inquiries. We'll meet our deadlines for responding to your expressions of interest and applications. I'll show you those in a sec. We'll provide you with all the support that we can to help you in taking part in the festival. And then this last one, we'll safeguard inclusion by not tolerating instances of racism, sexism, ableism, homophobia, transphobia, or any other forms of discrimination based on identity or ability. Okay, so after you've had a look at that, please make sure you click Submit for approval on this page. You'd be surprised how many people fill out the entire form and then don't get to the point where they click the button to actually submit it. So please make sure you click Submit for approval. Okay, so at that point you will have submitted your application, but there's just one last thing I want you to do, which is update your postal address. So you need to go to update your profile. There's a link here. There's a link on the slide here. Otherwise, if you're logged in, go to your dashboard and you'll see an option in the menu on the right hand side to update your profile. Please put your postal address in on this page, or if you've already got one in, check that it is your current postal address. It doesn't have to be the same as the building that you're opening. In fact, it might make sense for it to be a different address. So for example, if you're an architect opening a project, then your postal address should be your studio address or your home address, rather than the project you're opening if you're not based there yourself. This is so that we can send you things. So we every year we put together a contributor pack. Last year it had some flags, some signs for wayfinding, other stuff to help you with your open day and event, and some bits of branding and stuff. So we can't send you that unless we have your postal address. So please make sure you take the opportunity to update that once you've submitted your application. Okay, and just lastly, I want to run through these key dates. So the 1st of July is a final deadline for completing your application forms. We'll get back to you by the 15th of July. In most instances, we approve the vast majority of applications. In some cases, we need to give some feedback, we'll talk you through some things, raise some issues. Could just be something like someone's put in the wrong date, or the information you've shared doesn't make sense with us, or it could be that what you've suggested doesn't quite fit with our curatorial criteria. Either way, that will always be a conversation. We never just say a flat out no. We always initiate a conversation with you. So the latest you'll hear back from us on that is 15th of July, and we'll try and resolve any issues as quickly as possible. So 16th of July at midday, the program preview goes live. So that's everything that's been approved in the festival program at that point goes up on our website and is visible to the general public, to anyone going on the website, but nothing is yet bookable. This is also a big kind of press moment, big marketing moment for us. This is when, kind of sort of news of the festival program is first available publicly. 13th of August, volunteer slots go live. This means if you've requested volunteers, this is the point at which volunteers can sign up to come and help you with your open day or event. 20th of August at midday, program launch. This is when everything goes live for bookings. This is when we get lots of traffic to the website. This is when, if you've set up a ticketed activity, this is when someone can come and book to come and do it. And then yes, 13th to 21st of September, this is the Open House Festival. And lastly, I've just got a few useful things here. So a written guide to the same process that I just talked you through, to the application process. Again, that link to when to open, which weekends to open on, a link to our curatorial criteria, and then a link at the bottom just to more sort of general information about the festival. So hopefully between all of those things, you should be able to find what you need. Okay, and that's it.